problem. Alright, so all of this stuff here is good. We have our clearance in our high gear now. The cluster, see we was laying against it before, now it's not. We should have in play on that. See we have in play. See how it moves? So that the spring in there is doing its job. So there you go, everything's set up like it's supposed to be now. Now next thing you gotta do is do all the shift work stuff, which is a whole nother can of worms. So that goes through the shaft right here. And you should be able to put the shaft in and out through. But if you have big burrs on this thing, you have to clean it out, so it will go in there. The kicker cover is supposed to hold that in to keep it from coming back out. That's why it has a dowel pin right there. Your kicker cover actually has that dowel on it.
Yeah.
Keep your shaft in. The shift should not. It's supposed to be a press fit into here. Now someone drilled a hole through here to push it out. That's not stock. I don't think that goes all the way through stock. I'm trying to remember. I think it's supposed to be a blind hole, but I don't remember. The big twins are definitely supposed to be blind, but I think that's supposed to be blind. I don't think it goes through because that's an oil leak. The shaft's supposed to be a light tap-in fit, but usually they're loose. And if that's loose, the oil will just pour right out of that damn thing. So what I would do over here is when you put the shaft in there, see how much room you got to work with. If you can put like a set screw in there and plug it with that, do that. If you got room for like a little cup freeze plug, put that in there. If not, then just you have to JB weld it right there or put silicone right there. Let it set up. But if you don't do something there, it's going to leak out of that. Just like these tripper bolts and stuff up in here, they tend to leak a little bit. When they're in there good and tight, they don't leak, but a lot of times they have a little leakage, especially if they're replaced 2 or 3 times. That press on screw has a shoulder on it. It's supposed to be a hammer end fit. If it's loose, then it's going to leak through these bolts. It's going to leak through the thread. So you have to go back in here and put some goop over these. When anything's new, you don't have to do that shit. When it's used, things get different. Okay, so when you take this back out and goop everything up, you're going to have to put the seal in here. You want to make sure it rotates, the kicker rotates and does what it wants. If the kicker is all bound up, then that little ring is screwed, it's fucked with you. Don't worry about rotating the gear, this needs to rotate. And then over here, when you put all this stuff on here, obviously you already got your seal in here, so that test is already done on this one because we already know it rotates. So you just gotta make sure all that's good. When you put all this stuff in there that you took out, this here has your big washer there. So basically you got your seal. This little small one goes against your main shaft. And you got a spring on here that makes pressure on this, which makes this tight because this follows the shaft as it goes in and out. That pushes on that. Then you have your, let me see, I think they used a washer on the inside of these. Was it washer or spacer? Spacers first. Big spacer, and you can cram that in there with a big hammer. You got your little washer, and then you got the clip that goes on the end of it. So the one that does all the work is this one. It's tight on the outside, the ID, and that's tight. This one over here, I think it's more cosmetic than anything, but it's supposed to keep the oil from coming down the push rod to come out this end. Because this one seals out this side, this one seals out the left side. So if you're pouring oil out this side over here, this one's not doing its job. So it's got a lot of spring tension on it, but it has to wedge itself in the taper on the corner, and then the push rod has to be tight, and then it hits against the main shaft. So that's how it works.
I wonder why that's not, should be beveled right to go into that cup, don't you think?
Well, then you'd have to make more parts. See, this way here it works because the rubber's not going to give up. This is hard ass rubber and it's good. So it doesn't really wear away, at least on the end of it. Anyway, that's how all that works. But when you put that in, there's a lot of tension on it, so you can't do any of your clearances. You can't check it.
That was definitely one of the problems I had.
I mean, you see how hard it took to beat the damn thing out of there.
Yep.
It was in there. So that's how I know you had a new kid in there. It's tight. Now, I've had these washers were in there tight before. These are not supposed to be pressed in. They're supposed to be snug, but not pressed. So if they're really, really tight, I've actually gone here and sanded these down a little bit to get them loosened up a little bit. You want to tap in just a light tap, not sledgehammer. Sometimes they're tighter than they should be.
Yeah.
So once you get all this done, then you should be good. Now you had a, what size sprocket? 16 I saw on it? I got one dinky sprocket here. That's a dinky. What's that? That's like about a 15 maybe. 15. That is really small. So I would take that off and put the 17 on there, off the solo bike. And that'll gear the trike up too to go cruise better on the freeway. Now on an early tranny, you have to run a 16 or smaller because the shafts are close together. On the late bike, you can run all three, 15, 16, or 17. But 15, this is a 15, this is definitely small, this is for trike. I would definitely put the big one on there and gear that damn thing way up. There's no reason to have a little dinky one over here. I want to go faster. And 2 teeth is going to make probably a 12-mile-an-hour change on your gearing.
Is that gonna change me going up and down the hills where I live?
If you can't pull the high gear going up a hill, yeah, it's going to affect it. But you should have enough power to go up most of your hills, within reason. You know, obviously there's going to be some steep ones, but you want to be able to go on the freeway and actually get the thing up to 60 without being run over.
That'll do 60.
Trike will do 60 if it's running good. Oh. Especially got a little bit
With
of
the
downhill.
M16?
Especially if you got a little bit of a downhill to it.
With the M16 or something else?
Bigger carburetor works better, aluminum heads work better, you know, milling the heads works better. You know, all that shit makes it run better.
I do have aluminum heads for it.
You know, clean the ports up a little bit, doing a good valve job really helps a lot. You know, all that shit matters, yeah.
What would be the next upgrade carburetor?
Next one's your M88,
Yeah.
or your inch and a quarter, M51, M88. They have different venturis. But the 1-inch body is so small you can put a bigger venturi in it. They come with some really dinky ones, they make some bigger ones. And they actually have ones that are small, big enough in that to be bigger than like an M88 carburetor. Military has a real small hole. It's like a 7/8, I think. Or you can put a 7/8 inside of a 1-inch. They make that one. If not, you can make it.
Yeah.
Board the fucking thing out. And then you'd be the same as a big carburetor, you still got the small one. Me on my bike, my 35, it had the small 1-inch carburetor on it. And I had a racing venturi made out of brass. It was basically a piece of a copper spinning a circle. But it had just a little bit of a venturi to it. It was really thin. It was 1.15/16. Or inch. Actually, I got like a 1-inch hole. A 1-inch carburetor actually has a bigger hole than 1 inch through it. If you measure them, they're bigger. So I think my venturi was like a 1-inch venturi, but it was really, really thin. It was basically just thick enough to hold the spray nozzle. It was out of some kind of a race bike. And I stuck that on there, and that was worth 5 miles an hour for my bike doing that. That, and I opened up the manifold. I redid the manifold too. It had a little style T manifold, piece of shit. 30 stuff is worse than 40s type stuff. But all that was worth 5 miles an hour, just doing all that. Nothing else being done. But if you didn't win any. But the gearing is your big problem. If you got the gearing so damn low you can't go any speed, you're committed to 40 miles an hour. Can't rev it high enough. So
And you can order one of those.
if you're going to go up hills all over the place, then it matters. But if not, I'd put the gear on it. You can always take the gear out if you can't pull it. But it's better to have the gear so when you're going downhill or on flat ground, you can kind of get the speed up and do it. If you follow behind a pickup truck with a camper, or any kind of a new car that's big nowadays, because most new cars now are pretty damn tall and stuff. If you pull in behind one of those, 10 feet off the bumper or closer, I always use 5 foot. You can go 10 mile an hour faster than you can on your own. On my solo bike, trike could be the same thing. Just get in there and let the thing rev. With the extra gear on it, you can keep up. But once you got to cut your own wind, forget it. You're done. The thing's going to be like throwing the brakes on. Somebody dropped an anchor behind you, went still wide open, but it doesn't matter. There's no power. So there's a lot of tricks you can do, but like I said, aluminum heads, milling the heads, doing valve jobs, get the compression up as much as you can, all that shit. No matter what you do, it makes it run better. These things are so bad. Whatever you do makes them run better. So, but I would definitely get rid of this and put the bigger one on it. These are pretty hard to find. These 15s, really hard. 16s are hard too, but 15s are really hard. Because most of the trikes had a 16 on them. So what year is this trike supposed to be?
46.
Most of that pre-war stuff's real low like that, but yeah, that's pretty low. Meter maid duty?
I don't really know.
Probably made for in-town use only because
Probably, yeah.
where it was a commercial one or pulling around the damn box on it, or
It was probably for a service station.
they would have real low gearing because what's the fastest going to go? 35 mile an hour, 40 maybe on the road going to wherever they're going to. Yeah. So, Yeah, I would definitely put a bigger one on that. But if not, this does fit and works. It's still got usable teeth.
And they come with the seal inside?
Mine do, because I have genuine Harley military ones.
Hmm.
Comes with everything. If you buy the V-twin one, most time they don't have a seal with them. I don't think it's matter how they make them these days. But I use the genuine Harley stuff because I have lots of it, so
Yeah.
put the real ones on there and don't worry about it. So anyway, that's good to go. You can figure out the shifting yourself.
Yep.
And get that all hammered out. Where's your lid? Yeah, somewhere.
It might be in the box. Oh,
The box. We got a box of crap. There's a lid.
there's a lid.
That's what they're supposed to look like. See? You don't got no snorkel on you for going in the water. Must not be a military bike.
No, it's not.
And the other thing is when you put this in here on the trike, you got to make sure you use the correct notch over here. They have one that has a 3 on it, and they have one that has an R on it.
Okay, that one's an R. Yeah.
So R is for reverse, and the 3 is for 3-speed, it's for solo. The difference is the R is going to put the lever all the way right to the limit. Solo is going to be up here. There's two or three teeth different. I forget what it is. So because the solo only goes from here to here, the trike goes from one extreme to the other extreme. It uses everything it's got.
Well,
You got to get that extra gear in there. So make sure you tune it with the correct one.
Okay.
If not, you will be back in there because you'll be missing one gear. So, but that's pretty straightforward. All right, that's it.